So they were real. And
Yes.
I think the ants were sort of fine, and there was a gentle shaking off of my hand. But actually in the forest, there were quite a lot of bugs put in my hand.
Yeah.
And initially I was okay. Yeah, and then I was going, "Ooh," and I was like gagging. So I was holding it in, and I was like, at the end of the thing. And then there was some more vigorous shaking. But no animals were harmed in the making of the film.
None.
I must say.
I got really enamored with some of the worms that we were working with before we just committed to the snake. And they started, because I didn't want to hurt them, and I had them in these, and I would go to pet stores all the time going, what bugs do they have? And I'd send pictures of Dustin and be like, get those! And I'd come home with them, because we were staying, me, him, and someone else from the camera department, I believe it was Ben. And so our garage was taken over by these like tubs of worms and bugs, and then when we had to leave, I got really emotional. I was like, Dustin, what am I gonna do? And he was like, I don't know. That's not my problem. That's my problem. Be free.
Rachel and Dustin, the cinematographer, moved so fast. And I thinking I know loads. Hello, what's happening? But in retrospect, my word for Rachel is intentional. Everything is so intentional. Every frame, everything. So it was really trusting, and I did trust you.
Oh yeah,
it was really, I suppose, submitting to someone else's vision of what it is. Because really, as an actor, you're coming into someone else's world that they're creating, and you're slotting in, but you can't fight that because it's their vision. So that was one for me, and generally I just had a really lovely time. So it was another. It was just another joyful thing of each time hoping that a job is that joyful.
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple things. One is more personal and emotional, and the other is strategic in terms of the process of making a film. And the emotional one is that I think that Daisy has taught me what I can expect in terms of partnership from an actor. And so then the strategic thing is that it was because of necessity. I'd never been to Oregon in my life. I like setting of a film to be a character. Dustin and I were aware that, because the script was very spare, we're like, I feel like we need some paintings here to have in the film. It's going to be a language. And there was also this sense that we needed to just engage with what the film was. What does it look like? What is its grammar? What is its tone? We needed to anticipate that together. We had plenty of conversations. We were looking at Crutzen paintings, but what is it when we're on the ground? So he and I took about 4 or 5 days, and they were some of the most exciting 4 or 5 days of my life, because we got up at 4 a.m, went out, found the beauty, slumped through the bad lighting of the day, got back up, got more, and what it allowed me to do is not only find the film in another way, to deepen the language that we prepared and put it into action. But then what I love is that then when the actors were there, we had this little like tone piece of some of those images cut together, and it could transcend language, it could transcend me trying to intellectualize what is the feeling of this film. It allowed me to give something to the actors that I think I now know I need to always have. For me, not every filmmaker, but for me, it allows me to transcend something with the actors, and I think that contributed to why we could just slot in so well together.
That came down to the fact that we had spoken at length many times around filming, and I had an idea of what I imagined it would be, but I also owe so much of that to the voiceover, because it gave me so much understanding of who she is, and much like the characters don't treat Fran in a judgmental way, I also didn't come into it treating her in a judgmental way. And so much of her separateness was really Rachel and Dustin, because I was still having a great time. Like I was watching everyone, listening to everyone, laughing with everything, but the way I was placed slightly out of things really, I think, facilitated that feeling of separateness. And it was interesting the way the film felt quite wonderful, because I was in the office, we were having a great time, and then I was alone for a few days, and it felt like such a stark difference, and it was discovering a new version of Fran in this new world. And then obviously a lot of it comes down to Rachel. And I remember the line, "Do you wish you could have known me?" which always struck me every time I read it, every time I thought about that scene, that felt the saddest moment to me. I remember Rachel saying, "This is something that you've been wanting to ask for so long, like you were dredging that question from your very soul." And that's just an example of the trust that I was sort of referencing, and feeling like I could try stuff and we would see if it worked, and the privilege of time, and even though it was a short schedule, we always finished early. So there were lots of things at play, but I think a wonderful script, feeling brave enough to try things, and my walk, which I've never done a walk before. And I saw, I think, Ian McKellen in the Grey Orange show, and he was talking about a walk. I thought, Fran must have a walk.
We never talked to you, but Dustin asked me, "Do you know what kind of walk she's going to have?" I was like, "I just see that character walk." And I never got to. I was like, "Don't." I said to him, "I'm not going to put pressure on her with choices. I'm not going to put a spotlight on a choice. Like let her have a process."
But I practiced
and then you can, and then that first day, the first time I was like,
and it felt like so much of Fran is a shell. She's protecting herself. She's inward. She's so the physicality I had thought about beforehand.
Possible, and all of those things felt very precarious for Fran. So that's why we shot in the West. And so then we thought about how to frame that, and we were talking to our editor, Dustin and I shot it, and my editor, Ryan, we'll get on the phone and talk. Usually we'll do it a weekly talk for the month and a half to 2 months before we start shooting. Going through the script, going through our shot list, going through all of our approach, and our editor was talking a lot about the sense of space in the pacing of the film. And so we needed to have some conversation. The edit should be synthesized with the photography, and at least I think that's one of the principles I have. Maybe not everyone else does, it's fine. But because it's something I have, when he was talking so much about that space, in the pace, in the cut, in the time, that time was so much a part of the storytelling, we're like, okay, there needs to be a conversation going on here that's supported and cohesive between the visual language and the cut. So it was,
and that's what I love about there is sadness and loneliness in this film and in Fran's life, but not all the time. And it's just as we are all trying to connect people all the time. There's very difficulties that we're overcoming, and that bridge for her. She has extended that branch, and her donuts. It's such a monumental thing for her to do. That I feel like things would sort of settle back in. But maybe she would be part of the family. Maybe she would go to a quiz night. Not all the time. Because again, I feel like she does love her life. But with more opportunity, I suppose, and more choice. And I will say a lot of that is chosen. You know, she chosen not to. Maybe she had tried enough. However it is that she got to there. So to have the freedom to choose. Maybe I will go out and enjoy. Maybe I'll nuts every couple of weeks. So that's what I'd imagine.
Yeah, I feel like that's true. And I definitely, the final was about integration of her inner imagined self and her outer self. They could live in harmony. Whether that means she's a totally different person, I agree. I don't think that she has like, oh my god, now she's like but I do think like Robert's gonna be a very important friend in her life. Someone that I'll know forever. And Carol, so important. I think there will always be very special there. I think that there's possibility now, as she said, this opportunity. Who knows, never have something. You never know. But yeah, I think that there's this new peace that she's found. And I imagine something very close to what you're saying.
Sometimes I think about it's out in case right now. So tell your friends to see it. Tell your family to see it. Peace with your enemies as well. Tell them to see this awesome